Hey, this is Misery Loves Company, a weekly social reading series hosted by miserytourism.com. Every Friday, we welcome outsider and transgressive writers to share their work with us, and it's a Friday like any other. So let's get rolling here. Gabe is up first.
Sure. So I'm gonna share a couple excerpts from my manuscript in revisionist states. My novel's called, at the moment, it's called On High at Red Tide. It's 4 a.m. at the All the Way house. Tristan and Katrina blabber and blur so fast how glad they are to finally be alone, to finally get to know each other, to really, really know each other's soul. Like everything about you, I really want to know right now. Every secret is safe with me, I promise. Promise, 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 promise. Yet they're talking so fast, they just keep repeating this over and over without getting to actually know each other, repelling any secrets away. So they start making out to see if it helps. Sloppy lips oozing. Finally, the moment they've all been waiting for until... Wait, where's Rudy? Says Tristan. I don't know. Why are you fucking thinking about Rudy right now? She says. Well, I just want to know where he is. Anything wrong with that? Who fucking cares? I care. What if he's caught? Caught what? We got to keep track of everyone. If they're not here, they might have gotten caught, or they might be fucking cops, or worse. When was the last time you looked up, Katrina? Looked up? Tristan screams Mikey's name. Mikey emerges from the house, stuffing money in his pockets, then grabbing the bills out again to place back on the kitchen table in neat, super duper neat piles. Get out here, man. This is serious. I need to talk to you guys. We need to have a meeting. Serious meeting. The three of them stand in the driveway, hearts pounding their rib cages. Tristan points up into the gargantuan oak tree overhanging. Do you see them? What? Who? The people up there. Right there. Don't point. In the trees? Yes, right there in the trees, Tristan says, still pointing. They can see everything we're doing. Can they hear us too? Shh. Yes. All of us. Maybe except for Jasmine. She's smart enough to not talk, but they can listen to her thoughts. Can they listen to our thoughts too? Yes, all of them. Can't you see them up there? They move with the branches, with the leaves, these camouflage beings. I can see them now. They move with the wind, and when the leaves are rustling, that's them whispering. Can you hear what they're saying? No, but I can hear what they're thinking. Are they thinking what I'm hearing them thinking? If you're hearing them thinking, they're just waiting for us to fall asleep so they can install cameras into our bodies. Yes. Okay, we cannot fall asleep then. Okay. Wait, where is Jasmine, Katrina? She'd better not be sleeping. Yes, because if she's sleeping, there's already cameras inside of her. So she is listening to everything we are saying. Can she see what we are doing, even though she is sleeping? Yes, and she can hear what we are thinking. Tristan imagines Jasmine, the girl so tight-lipped, the only time she ever opens her mouth is to chain smoke cloves or menthols or to suck on candy, or slurp her spoonfuls of Duncan Hines chocolate frosting. What secrets does she hide in her mouth when it's not smoke and sugar? He imagines it, therefore it's really happening. Like her mouth is giving birth to a baby, her lips forcing open into a circular opening, a camera lens protruding, elongating, focusing. He can't tell if she is in pain or an accomplice orchestrating. The three tiptoeing, each fallen leaf on the asphalt an alarm. If they crunch it, it will alert the beings. Landmine ballet all the way to the garage where they can feel Jasmine sleeping. Tristan thumbs his razor blade, the one he used for bleeding. Let me do this, he whispers as he turns on the light. There she lies on the top bunk peacefully. Tristan climbs the ladder while the other two keep watch as decoys for the beings. Jasmine stirs, no lips moving, ventriloquisting. Tristan, what are you doing? He pinches her lips into a pucker and she starts screaming. I just need to see what they are doing, pulling her lips apart, her teeth revealing. Oh my fucking God, says Tristan. They got to you, sweetie. Hold still, still. Tristan straddles her body to perform surgery, renegade dentistry. Her decayed teeth so yellow they're nearly green, spotted with opaque and translucent cavities, or tiny black cameras, a tragedy. But he got to her right in time. If she would just quit screaming, if Katrina would just stop asking what the fuck he is doing, they'd both see everything has almost died but chivalry. Dylan's stride seems out of sync with the gang. Gene feels like he's doing most of the heavy lifting when they sling at school. Dylan just stands there, either bored, lackadaisical, or guilty. The last thing the gang needs. The rest see it too. Frequent no-shows at the All the Way house after his posts at Blackout Beach. His absence reinvigorates their anxiety, weighing hypotheticals. Maybe he's getting heavily steeped in Big Jim's civic history. Maybe he's enjoying the picturesque seaside scenery they had long since taken for granted. Maybe he met a girl, but Gene would be the first one he'd tell about that. They hear familiar steps echoing down the basement stairs. Dylan, where you been, mijo? Rudy sneers in jest, his impression of an overbearing Mexican mother. You just come and go while we cook and clean. We should beat you with our chanclas. Snickering, he breaks the ice until they see Dylan isn't laughing. Hey guys, I need to talk. Everyone here listening? Their ears perk up as they put down their projects. What's up, man? You good? Says Mikey. Oh man, I think I gotta stop this shit. What? The room erupts into surprise while they pick at their faces compulsively. Big Jim saw me at the beach. Who gives a shit, said Tristan. He deals weed, you deal speed. Yeah, it's what he told me afterwards. He said everything he's ever known who's done speed long enough has either turned gay or Christian. Tristan and Mikey burst into sputtering laughter while Rudy just gets pissed. Fuck that, I ain't turning any of that shit, says Rudy, aggressively defensive. The only thing he's ever kept from the gang is that he's still more or less Catholic, and that him and Rico often discuss their complex proximity to their faith. It's not like a secret, more like the vigil would never understand. But now Rudy's self-conscious because talking to a gay dude about Jesus is too close to what Big Jim is insinuating. Don't Christians hate queers, says Mikey? Or is it because they both think they can convert anyone onto their side, he says. And now he's nervous because the vigil assumes they can convert anyone onto speed, and they're sort of evangelical about it. The anxiety is viral, hitting Tristan next, because some weeks he'll have a raging hard-on for days with nowhere to put it. And one day he almost justified asking Mikey to suck him off, even though in a perfect world that mouth would belong to Katrina, but he's only kissed her that once before he stopped to wonder where Rudy was. Fuck. Big Jim basically said, after a while, you'll fuck anything on this shit, says Dylan. And now Rudy is cold sweating, thinking about that sweet-ass 56 Impala they saw parked in front of the theater the other day, the one he loved so much that he pretended to fuck the tailpipe so they'd laugh. But long after they stopped laughing, he kept fucking, forgetting they had walked on without him. Jim asked me if I started seeing a demon yet, and it freaked me out, like he was looking into my soul because I've been seeing one every time I try to fall asleep. Demons they could talk about. Over here, I just call that day 3, says Tristan. So you've seen them too, says Dylan. Yeah, I have, says Tristan. After being up for 2.5, 3 days, this entity he sees is terrifying because it's elusive, rarely materializing. But when it does, it's like a cartoon devil with a goatee, like Rico's, but like strutting around like Porky Pig. He sees it so often, he's gotten accustomed to it, almost accepting that he is losing his mind in the privacy of his own head. So he never felt the urge to vocalize it until this very moment when he sees Gene, Mikey, and Rudy nodding gravely. And now Tristan is more afraid of the eye contact they're all making. Me too, same here. Big Jim says it's something every tweaker eventually sees, the speed demon, he calls it. I'll close my eyes and it takes up my whole periphery. But today when I opened my eyes, it was still there.
You stupid nigger!
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Big Jim says it's something every tweaker eventually sees, the speed demon, he calls it. I'll close my eyes and it takes up my whole periphery. But today when I opened my eyes, it was still there, says Dylan, staring at Tristan. Why are you looking at me like that? I think I should go, says Dylan. Wait, hold on. What does yours look like? Says Gene, an attempt of solidarity with his best friend. Mine's huge, a big face, very industrial. Like every cell is a turning cog with eyes made up of smaller worker demons turning gears inside it. The gears are like making fire, and the hotter it gets, it's burning itself into my brain. The one I see has like big horns, muscular. The one I can see its whole body, says Mikey, and what the body is doing. What's its body doing? Nothing good. You've probably just been reading too many Faust comics, says Tristan. What about you, Rudy? I don't see shit. Why were you nodding your head with us earlier, says Dylan. I was just agreeing with myself that you guys are fucking psychos, says Rudy, suppressing crystal clear images of his crucified Jesus demon communicating garbled gobbledygook through a fifth spike in its mouth. Dylan, why do you keep staring at Tristan like that? I think I should go, says Dylan.
Gabe, I love this. I love this because it's so tense and it's so funny, right? And it's tense and funny without ever ceasing to be true to the situation that you're describing. One thing I really love is the description of the demons, right, that they're seeing, because you can tell that it's a function of their imagination. And you can tell where they're drawing these images from, right? Like, I think a mistake here would have been to like overdraw them, over describe these creatures that they're seeing and make them like too obviously otherworldly and demonic. Instead, you could see these guys are fucking, these guys are so jacked up and they're just seeing like shit they saw in a cartoon like 20 years ago, but now it's fucking terrifying to them, right? And because you can tell that, and because there are all these astute moments where the reader can very clearly see the way in which these like where these where reality took a left turn and these characters right, and because the reader can see that clearly, so much it like that actually adds to the tension and it adds to the sense of humor. It's like the Coen brothers are really fantastic at doing this, right, at providing a situation that on one level seems completely and unequivocally plausible and true, but you can see the way the characters are handling that very obviously, that very plausible scenario, and you can tell the characters have departed from rationality, right? They've departed from, and this is really like, the way you're doing it here, I think, is really smart, because the reader never feels like reality has left for them, right? And so it just makes that tension feel all the stronger, I think. Anyway, this is awesome. You've read from this novel before, right?
Yeah, it's turning, I mean, it has a new title, and it's definitely, I mean, one of the things Elle said, she's all, man, there's 21 characters in this book. So I just had to cut 12 characters out, and it was the most intense like surgery ever. So, but now I'm like adding stuff. So these were like the latest additions. And yeah, shared hallucinations fascinate me. Like, so this is a true thing. When you do speed, there's this thing called the speed demon that usually gets to you on day 3, and I'm just really fascinated with that. And I think like when you do ayahuasca, you see like a green entity and stuff. I just think that's thinking about that whole collective consciousness. Like our brains can only use so many images, and it's like we all share that the same fears and
right. And where are those images coming from, right? That's the fascinating thing, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm actually, this is the same one that where you had that like really fantastic section about the beach, right? That like
it's all
hand shot over the beach with all of the like incredible like ne'er-do-well kind of guy.
Yeah, but I took that out. That's kind
really?
of its own. Yeah, because it was so many people. Like talking with Elle made me realize, like, oh yeah, whenever you give a name to someone, that's a character. You're anyone reading that is going to get attached to that name, and it's gonna. Yeah, it was bonkers. The thing was in such bonkers shape. So
well, maybe you can repurpose that into a short story or something.
I did, yeah, I did.
Oh, okay, cool.
It actually got published at Shotgun Honey. So, and then it's in my short story collection. So
fantastic. Because like the expectations are different for a short story, right? Like you can have a whole bunch of names in there, and the understanding is,
Right,
well,
right,
there's only 3 pages left. We're not coming back to this guy, you know?
right,
All right.
right.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Gabe.
I like the building paranoia that kind of sits and lingers, kind of like almost like a cartoonist level paranoia. I mean, not like cartoonist, but like like almost like the way cartoons are paced, like where it's like dun, 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 that kind of thing. I could hear that music in the background when I was listening to it. It's really wild, like conspiracy level shit that happens when people get into that state or get into states like that.
Yeah, no, speed's crazy like that. Like when you're on speed, anything you think about it's like it's actually happening. That's the best way I could describe it. Like everything is true. Everything is so true that it's, I mean, I think that's where the paranoia comes from, because everything just becomes true and possible
Yeah, that's wild,
in the
dude.
scariest way.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Gabe.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just gonna say I really like the way the characters bounce off each other. Like talk about speedball, I guess. People just bouncing.
Yeah, the rhythm of the dialogue is,
yeah.
Now, Rudy, you are up next. I just took a look at your document, and I'm not going to say anything. I'll just turn it over to you.
I need to make a request before I start reading.
Okay.
Just as Mayor Ray Nagin once said, we need to get every doggone Greyhound bus. If there's any trolls in the in the thing in the room here, I need every black dick on duty for some. There is a poem on here, and you'll see it. I guess. But feel free to get in here now.
Unfortunately, the troll went too early, interrupted Gabe.
Oh yeah. Oh really?
And whereas the shit he was saying during Gabe's reading would have been perfect for this. All right, Rudy.
Anyway, so this is a couple. Let me do the post real quick. But yeah, this is a bunch of stupid poetry that I wrote today. It is it's poetry, I guess. Poetry in motion. So yeah, this first one here is called The Reverend. Oh, and this group of poems is called An Itch You Can't Scratch in Public. And you'll see why. So the first one is called The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Demonstrates. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made a cute, kawaii, little itsy bitsy game, 143 kilobytes. He demoed it at a festival in a Scandinavian country to thunderous applause. He is a demo scener. They sure feel different about demonstrating in those countries. This didn't happen because he was bullseyed through the dome with a rifle. Also because he lived in like the 60s. Also because he was a reverend, probably. This one is called Faggot Nigger Consortium. Faggot, nigger, 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 faggot, nigger, nigger, faggot, 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 nigger, nigger, Niger, nigger, nigger, faggot, 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 nigger, nigger, faggot, nigger, nigger, nigger. This next one up is called Studio Ghibli. I see. Yeah, this one's called Studio Ghibli. I have dreams a lot where my dad is alive somewhere, and I just have to go pick him up. He doesn't die. He doesn't. Or they invented something to bring him back. We wander around by car or night train, dabbling. I'm glad I have a better relationship with my dad than Goro Miyazaki has with his. Lol. This one is called Itch.io. It's like the desert in Looney Tunes, where the coyote chases the roadrunner forever, but all the Acme gadgets are gay and boring. Don't look now, coyote. Ground's coming out beneath you, so you better punch up. Tuppence a bag to feed the starving artist in this zoo of shame. I'm a publicity whore starting at 9 on Monday through Wednesday. Filthy. I've been a positively disgusting girl today. In the 1990s, Purple Moon created a space. They waved the flag of games for girls. All artistic spaces are a vacuum, basically. How does the Arthur C. Clarke quote go? Now that we've perfected the art of making flags flutter in the limitless void, it's time to talk about how art like to womanize and grab people at conventions. What a sick baddie. Do better, art. Oh, wait, that was Asimov. This one here is called We Appreciate Power. Daddy Elon, please, 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 Daddy, please, Daddy, please, Daddy, please, 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 oh, please, 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 Daddy, please, please, Elon, please, please, please. Pretty please, 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 blocks, please, please, please. This one here is called For Kaplan. One of my guild officers in EverQuest 1 asked me if I was a boy or a girl, and I danced around the answer. My character was a female human necromancer. Whenever this officer asked, I would say, not telling. One time I made up some shit about soccer practice, lel, to get out of the conversation. One time I sent him to High Hold Pass, combined XPing diplomacy mission with another Hummy guild to avoid him talking to me about it. One time we were in Blackborough, Lord Elgnub and his flash entourage descended while we were talking gender, saying, humans like you have ruined your own lands. Necromancers eventually unlocked E-Bolt, a powerful damage over time spell, but I never saw the 40s or 50s. As pumices crumbled into dust, I left Karana to go play on Balanzet PvP. My Necro wore a black robe, and I wish I had her straight red hair and big eyes. I'm a fucking faggot for not playing Elo. Princess Monotone. Mong Disney princess when? We need moron princesses. Maybe her prince is one of McNamara's morons, soldiering through Nam with 70 IQ. Her quick-witted companion is a stack of personified social security disability paperwork she can barely understand, musical numbers she can feel, synesthesia, SSI, a song and dance about agency. This one's called Regular Expression for John and Mark. I wish I could do regex replace in my life, remove all alphanumerics so everything is just numbers. Maybe leave the punctuation and symbols. That's life already for many. Capturing groups, flags that signal sensitivity or qualify greed. I want to be the matcher and the rye, filtering out all the unwanted characters, sanitizing. All the dead dudes with L names are really taking L's on the issue of organizing humans for greater good. Johnny's famous refrain in Come Together was too ridiculous for a gubernatorial race, but not too ridiculous to happen in real life. Regex helpers are like online cut up. A few poets want to black out. I want to get colored, off colored. Where's John's widow, nigga? She's 90 years old, bruh. She's still a fire, bruh. She hanging out on Twitter, eroding McCartney. This last one here is called Disney Adult. A long time ago in a headspace far away, I fucking argued in all caps with this Stratix Trammy about PvP in goddamn Star Wars Galaxies. Fuck, that was really stupid. I said, it's Star Wars, not StarCraft. He said, you should go play StarCraft, kid. I said, what's the point of PvE, Trammy? How you doing over there, Billy Yank? Not bad, Johnny Rev, you? He said, what's the point of PvP, griefer? He said he learned the value of teamwork when he joined the military and became a real man. I hated Trammies in PvE. I still do. Most people hate griefers to this day. Disney now owns Star Wars. That guy defending his Cammy lifestyle probably has Disney Plus sub now and a responsible family and memories from Iraq and memories from Tatooine. I don't like sand. It's coarse, rough, irritating. It gets everywhere. And he's fucking from there. And muscle memories from an Imperial weapon, no Kyber shit. I thought I was persecuted, a persecuted minority because I like to kill people in games. I was. Most people hate griefers to this day. And that's it.
To this day.
To this day, I hate them.
Man, I gotta be careful what I say about these, I tell you what. Oh man. So I so these are all fucking awesome. And I like the stylistic change here compared to you. Let's talk about the style. Let's make a stylistic comparison to your other poems. So it's not and let's not talk too much about the content. No, but honestly, man, I like that. This is a cool, like, stylistic departure for you, because usually what you do is you write these, like, intensely, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, intratextual pieces that are obviously, like, really like densely constructed, right? Full of like references pointing at each other and stuff. And here you really, this is like loosening up. You could tell these were written more quickly, but still intentionally, right? Like these feel like a looser style for you. They feel more like directly conversational and in some ways more directly confrontational, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit closer to like the kind of like more minimal poetry that's like very popular within the scene too. I will say reading these as a set, the whiplash between the Studio Ghibli poem and the poem that comes before the Studio Ghibli poem is sublime, because you go from like the most abrasive, offensive poem probably humanly possible, right? A poem that's almost that's almost just slurs, except for what the name of one African nation, to like one of your most like unequivocally sentimental and heartfelt poems. And man, the whiplash between those two actually enhances the experience, I think, right? Because it prevents either one of them, you from being overwhelmed by the experience of either one of those poems. The one I really love here, but I think my favorite out of this batch is the Looney Tunes one. I love especially last section where like the art that's like Arthur C. Clarke, but also art, and then the dismissive ending where it's like, oh wait, that was Asimov.
Yeah, I guess Asimov likes to grab butts or something, so he's a bad guy now.
Right, but as like a like critique of the culture surrounding art and discourse surrounding art, the execution of that is just beautiful. I think I also I fucking lost it at the We Appreciate Power poem, which is like when I'm talking about how these feel like a real stylistic departure. That poem is such an incredible stylistic departure for you, but it fucking works. It works. It works so great because you know exactly like what's going on there. That like begging for serotonin, right? That like just validate me, and the way you execute it with the please, 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 like the shameless, ugly begging, like it so perfectly captures the sick experience of being on social media. Anyway, man, these are all great.
Yeah, that one was inspired by Grimes being married to Elon Musk for a song "We Appreciate Power." It's about AI or some
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah.
even, I'm not even aware of, I think I've listened to her music once
Well,
voluntarily. AJ wrote
voluntarily.
Rhymes, so I'm sure I heard some of it in the background then, but,
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for letting me read.
yeah, man, this is
Lord,
good
I
stuff,
apologize.
and I'm, glad that the Misery Tourism YouTube channel isn't monetized.
Ooh, rep, yeah.
I don't think we've ever had a video taken down for language though, somehow, but let's see how this one goes.
Oh yeah.
All right, thank you, man. Colton is next.
All right. Sorry, my house. So the Wi-Fi is not working. My oven isn't working. So I had to microwave a pizza. That didn't fucking work. And I also smelled gas because I had a person, my neighbor, move out of my apartment complex. So if
Colton,
anybody has
don't
to live in
fucking
this house,
die just to read that
Oh
misery.
damn, man.
everything's gonna fucking kill me. Swear to God, man. But oh, I mean, everything's fine. I can like light stuff. So so these are two poems, kind of like angry. One's like a kind of a confessional. I don't know. I've been feeling whiny lately. I was in Alabama recently, and so there was like a sermon that I went to. I haven't fucking been to a sermon in years, and it was very inspirational. And then the next poem, or I guess the confessional, is like, I don't know. I was just like really manic one day, and just decided to just do like, okay, pure stream of consciousness. So all right, I'll go ahead and get started. The first one is called God Planted Me Here So That I Could Bloom. 1 Corinthians 7:20. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he is called. $8 coyote jawbone, azurite malachite, $55 skunk skull, European mountain bull elk with a missing tag, mosaic stone longhorn hanging on a wire frame next to rosebud azaleas, moving crowd full of Black 2nd Marine Division hats. Former Da Nang Air Base combat controller looks at argonite and selenite stones. They both remind him of the ocean. Middle school art teacher walks up to our booth at the market show. She sells boutique artwork on the side and sings in the church choir. She talks to us about her mom, and it turns out her mom passed away in January, and the flowers she put on her gravestone survived for weeks after they were set due to the rain and weather over the graveyard, which was nice. And a couple days after her mom got lowered into the ground, the teacher went out to the site to pray, and she took this picture of this one red rose on the bouquet that had blown over onto the grass. And the petals of this one particular rose were covered in tens of tiny water droplets, and the watercolor effect brought her to tears. So the teacher shows us the zoomed in picture, and we think it looks beautiful. And she says thank you because she wants to create a new piece for a show coming up in March. And she wants to be inspired by her mom, and we tell her she should do it. And she smiles and she says she appreciates us, and she tells us goodbye, and we tell her to have a nice day. Queen concert at the Memphis Coliseum in 1974. Dad buys a fat bottom girls t-shirt at the merch table. Man accused of alleged underage sexual relations is beat to death by his neighbors. Man sent to war is shot by a barrage of artillery rounds in the drop-off zone. His blown-apart body flutters to the ground, hanging from the parachute. After impact, there is a privacy that arrives in his passing as the parachute drapes over his hold-up carcass. Feet in the dirt next to a giant black and white dairy cow statue standing on a deck over flatbed trailer in the middle of a rodeo arena. Close by, kids wearing new spurred boots laugh at the humongous pink udder veins. They don't realize the metaphor. They don't see the implications. I'm trying to get myself together. It's been difficult. Driving through the backwoods and seeing a wooden house completely rotted and decrepit looking, so you lean over the dash and point at the house, saying to your friend, hey, look at that shitty house. That's where you live. Kind of related, but you have to ride the Zephyr Amtrak going from Denver to Glenwood Springs. Beautiful scenery. One trip, we were passing by the Colorado River, and the conductor slowed down and told us to look out the left side of our train car. And my family went to the windows, and we saw a mountain lion eating a dying red stag. I remember watching the deer's head being ripped off to the side, dangling over a raw shoulder. His antlers were jamming into open wounds and black mud. The cougar continued clawing at exposed ribs, pulling out ropey pink belly bites. The hind legs of the pinned heart were kicking in the air full of dragonflies. Faraway mountains surrounded this moment. The trees nearby were all swaying. The water in a lake close by was a patient blue, minus the bobbing of a fish or two. The sun was high up in the sky. Hardly any clouds that day, if I recall. An unreal visual experience. The colorful experience ended as our car went into a tunnel, and man, it was an immediate cool down. Yeah, it was wonderful. Sorry, I'm rambling here. That skull over there, the 14-pointer, it reminded me of that stag. 1 Corinthians 7:24. Brethren, let every man, wherein he is called, therein abide with God. All right. This one is Whirlwind. March 8th, 2023, 10:45 p.m. Let me tell you about seduction and semantics and appropriation and satiation, and then I'll give you the skinny on napalm rape. Middle-aged men with F endorsements wiping their sweaty palms on their jeans. Mental constraints and Escher Lefkoff and loop combos and cant holes and Elsa von Freytag Loringhoven and making a drug deal by making a deal with your friend that you both will do drugs forever. And sometimes my prejudice against other people depends on the weather. Oh, look, a woman with a DUI putting her whole head into another woman's you-know-what to look for an IUD, but all they find is an IOU. An addict who got started at age 12 confesses that her mental health diagnosis from her psych ward evaluation was an easy way for her to justify her drug use. Highly skilled and driven by purpose, effective in implementing managerial procedures, takes charge in overseeing progressive operations and utilizing innovative strategies for business development. Operational and productive individual with a desire for chasing outstanding organizational goals, blah, blah, blah. This person has never tried to understand the world outside of themselves. If only they could be like me, a threat to my loved ones and a danger to everyone around me. I'm too scared to apologize for the wrongs I've summoned. It's reasonable to assume one's death will make a couple of people happy. This is a bad thought. Show others that you can change. That's a good thought. But I like bad thoughts. That's not good. Who doesn't like masturbation? Sometimes I really hate writing. I like forming sentences. Maybe I just like thinking out loud, making a collage of disaster, pieces of the world sticking to me like tar and feathers, playing with Barbie dolls like Todd Haynes. I love most people. I'm okay with failure. I can take punishment. I could buy a gun at any moment, but I don't. I like how other people inspire me. Sometimes I hesitate and I take from pop culture and I create filth and I create time and I waste time and I gouge the internet and surrender as my own integrity disintegrates and I betray myself and overthink my every move, my every intention with the hesitancy of hypocrisy, and I edit and I over edit and I forget something and the presentation of ideas is different now. And I really try to be a reflection of what is, but all I do is conjure confusion and dig up my own burial in the one life I've been given, and I never wanted it to begin in the first place, actually. And my worry creates tremors that shake my shoulders. And I learned right versus wrong, but I also like doing the opposite of what I'm told, to show people I don't give a fuck. And seeing how language can trigger fight or flight is pretty awesome sometimes. And I'm sorry, it's just that self-sabotage is very sexy right now. I want to be read, and I want people to tell stories, and I want people to tell my stories because I want to tell other people's stories, and I want stories to tell stories and people to talk about other people and see what these stories and these people tell us about perspective and narrative and the human condition. Even though perspective and narrative and the human condition are all equally gay, don't even get me started on how plot doesn't matter and direction is subjective and characters are just manifestations of advertising, ego, and sex drive. And the most defining features of a person are their failures and the impressions that other people have on them and their propensity to do harm to others. Nobody talks about law-abiding citizens. We give murderers medals for show. What happened to feline curiosity? Why does it smell like gas in here? Sorry, my dead cat is still in my freezer. It was cheaper to keep the body, not incinerate him, but I don't know where to bury him. What happens to honor if you reject inheritance? What happened to thievery? What happened to stealing memes and taking quotes out of context, textualizing reality in perpetuity? My emotions are Easter eggs hidden in my body. What happened to building a ladder out of shit and having it lead to the kingdom in the sky? I mean, you have to understand, this isn't depression, it's just indifference, mindless anger. Where have all the cowboys gone? I'm so cliche. I'm so bourgeois. I'm messy and tired and oversexed, and when the power shuts off, the world looks better in shadows. Ignoring the figures you create out of light is a strategy in its own right. None of this is mine. All of this is just the world, old worlds and new worlds remixed. What happened to art as the practice of reflection, of bringing back the dead, as the practice of abortion? None of these kids are mine. Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. Hello there, Tom. I'm creating software, updates up to date from coast to coast, and I'm still unhappy. And my stories are journals full of mistakes and guilt. My eyes can't stop looking, and my ears are connected to my knuckles, and my fingertips capture a world that I will never love. This is all a testimony, confessions to a reader who knows better. I envy you. Email subject: don't you miss me? Reply: something like that. God damn it, yes. I hate you more than the blue iridescence and labradite. It's the fucking daytime sky in your eyes, the memories of our first encounter. I'm sorry I did all of your cocaine in the B-side bathroom. I'm sorry I couldn't get to the phone when you called me 13 times in a row when you were at the hospital. I'm sorry I yelled at you, then blocked your number and tried to get my life back together. I'm sorry I didn't do everything right. I swear someday I'll make it up to you. I'll start by washing my sheets. 2 girls I went to college with are doing porn now. They fucked each other to pay rent. I've been unemployed for 6 weeks. Now this is desperation. This is a police recording. A message in a bottle that reads, boy, you in a heap of trouble now. This is just a means to understand. Synchronicity only means so much. I don't want your fucking money. I want to pull you down with me. I just want to do whatever it takes, by any means necessary. What happened to blatant disregard for human life? Embrace misdemeanors, become like those demon eaters who consume the souls of scoundrels embedded in forgotten railway ghost towns. What happened to the sincerity that twinkled in our childhoods? I hope it feels so good to be right. There's nothing better than pointing out the shortcomings of others, is there? Randall Graves. I am the master of watching other people suffer, so let me tell you, in confidence, that there is no stillness. There is only whirlwind. All right, that's it.
Man, Colton, these are fucking great. I love the first one. I absolutely fucking love the first one. I love it because it is like you have like it's hard to write a piece like that that consistently captures both the harsh indifference of reality and the deep intrinsic beauty of reality, right? Like often you'll see pieces that try to contrast those things, right? To try to get at the same point that you're trying to get at here, to try to get at that same like understanding of the divine and like the central paradox of reality, which is like we're constantly surrounded by beauty, but we're also constantly in pain, right?
Yeah.
But what you do here is more of a sublimation of a like true like synthesis of those two things, right? As opposed to it being like, here's something beautiful, here's something ugly. It's like, here's the like beauty like within the ugly thing. Here's the beauty around the ugly thing. Here's the beauty hopelessly intertwined with the ugly thing. And it is so good. It is so good. And you do get a sense that like, and I love the religious framing of this too, because I think you do almost get a sense of like some underlying like spiritual reality here that is always like out of reach, right? So that piece is just fucking fantastic. And I really like the second one too. In the second one, I love the and maybe this is just because of my own like my own shit and my own pathology, but I love the job listing one, and I love the way it's structured because it begins as like a plausible job listing, right? And then the language becomes more and more baroque and abstract and forced and like disconnected and like it's like you lose track, you lose any sense of what this person could possibly be being asked to do, right? And then that spins, right, to like a complete dismissal of the idea. But and I think it would have not been good if you had ended it there, if you had ended it with that shrug of like, boy, this silly, like aren't these like aren't these want ads just really fucking dumb, and isn't the corporate world really banal and ugly? But instead you do that one last twist where you twist it back on yourself, or you twist it back on the like person like someone like me who's intrinsically like, boy, I'm glad I'm not a part of that world. It's like, I thank goodness. And then you like capture the like, well, what the fuck are you doing though? Like the inherent kind of like, like that you completely take the pretension out of that. You completely like remove that sense of like, that sense of that, as I said, the pretension, right? And in a really, I think, effective way. And the rest of it is just really, really excellent too. In the same way that your work is always excellent, in that it like provides a really clear like window into your brain and into psychological complexity, and the like way we're just like ravaged by contradictory and oppressive thoughts, right? And it's all very good, Fulton. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The second piece, I see a lot of like repeating things for me. Like really like cowboy shit. I really hate art, and I really like writing, and just like like if I spend like more than 5 minutes on LinkedIn, like I just want to go to like every single person who was ever a boss for my parents and just be like, I hope you fuckers didn't like do this to them, because like I'm breaking out of this shit.
Right. Oh, that exactly. You capture, like, because I know that resentment too. Like I grew up with that, like with that resentment of like what it means to like work, right? What it means to work in this world, right? But you don't just capture that resentment, you get at the fundamental like futility of that resentment, the way that it all burns out into nothing, and I dig that. Anyway, man, good stuff.
Thank you. And I appreciate everyone's comments as well. Thank you, Rudy and William.
And Ryan is next.
Hi. It'll be hard to follow meta because I like that stuff a lot. I have the link, I guess. I'm gonna post it, but you don't like, just Control F. I'm just gonna read like one section of it. And yeah. Give me a sec. Loot. Okay. So this is just a section of a chapter from the thing I'm doing, and the section is called Spidered by him. Cold again, cold and alone, the moment he stepped through. Lightblood, the exhumed skein says, belongs to. I don't want to know, he says to it. You know, you've made your choice, and it is not known to husk shedders to be happy with their choices. He shuts it off. Hear the full glow of the moss petals, amber and lavender that shines into and through the claustrophobia. No light beckons from the distance, nothing to presage progress except the sound of his feet, hushed impacts like paper rustling against palm. There was a light, he'd seen it, known it before, and known it was there within the black slab walls. Ages ago now. It had been too easy to give into it. To give into the knowledge it was there, but he'd had faith and nothing else, and been assured it was the fauna, their hierarch kept, preserved somewhere deep within. But the shrine, the cloven lith, had been too bleak just to make the light less true. He reaches out now for the flora, more en masse and now within his reach. Not the tips of his fingers, but the joints, rubbing into the flora and coming away dusted with motes. Notes pink into blue, shining out sapphire from rose pearl halcyon, sparse and spattered across the world gray. Everlasting violet in the nanoscopic squirrel. Moving his hand away, his arm to swing by his side and the other arm to reach across and grip his elbow. The weight of his true silence presses down, gripping him to the cold floor, where no groove makes his feet remember they've even touched down, waiting for the hall to open up again. Before it does, the moss bloodens, reaching red from the violets through the sunburnt oranges. Soon a pulse to them, the vines throbbing, vein lines sparking heart-beating glow in tracers of warm scarlet. The bitter through him parching him now, ready to kill for a sip of water, though that's what he's never seen here. To open myself up, he thinks, to peel my skin away and drink the bloodlight right into the bitter. But the grub, absent of fingernails, has nothing he can hurt himself with. And beyond the vines, the walls are smooth, beyond the black, sleeveless as the floor. Sleeveless before the soft vines have claimed their homes. He stops, thinking, I could rip the vine away, and what's left would be sieve, jagged run into the stone, and then I could open myself, see what's really there. Standing there, staring at the vine that's spidered by him, shoulder blade height, and he's reaching for it, and he's got the barest of grip on it, eke the merest of space between it on its perch, when the bloodlight dims back to pastel orange. And its pulse a deep throb before it stills, and he stares further, releases it, and it snaps back into the groove. And the silence after plates the thirst, the bitter, and the taste is the taste of refuse. And he hears scuffing from a long way off, and moans, and teeth clicking against teeth. That's it.
Man, Ryan, I was listening to you read, and it occurred to me like what I really love about your writing. Now, I know I always talk about like the vividness of your descriptions, right? But while I was listening to you read, I realized something. It's not just that your descriptions are incredibly vivid. It's that you like manage to simultaneously create a world that is like vividly seen, but also like completely unseen, right? Like you're conjuring up images in my mind that cannot and do not exist, right? There's like this wonderful tension here between like you're conjuring up images that can only exist as language, I guess is what I'm saying, right? Like and a lot of the otherworldliness comes from that, comes from this way you're creating this world that you can't quite picture. Like it's like ethereal, right? And I just want to like some of your turns of phrase here, like the moss bloodens, like man, like that is so fucking rich. And there's another one here, like your use of the word spidering here is so good because it evokes a very specific kind of motion, right? But just like the rest of it, it refuses to be totally seen, right? And it's so everything operates in this like incredibly beautiful like fog that's just really like enchanting, I think. If that made any fucking sense at all.
No, no, I kind of get it. Thank you. That's sort of, I'm kind of going for something like that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me read.
Yeah, definitely. Jeff is up next. And after Jeff, no one is signed up. So if you would like to read, it's only like 9:20 here. We've only been going for like an hour. So if someone who hasn't read has a piece they'd like to read tonight, just say so in the chat and we'll do a little open mic after. If not, we'll just call it early, which is fine with me as well. Anyway, Jeff, it's all yours.
I'm going to try to get through this with my voice. This one, for better or worse, is called Ideal Fentanyl. When you OD, I have to work overtime. Thanks, you dirty assholes. They all think I have the good shit now. You've heard this story on Fox News. It was random, probably mixed it wrong. My nuts. 4 acres in Maine and a double wide, a banshee, winding trails, and 3-cord seasoned oak wood. Gotta make 25 G's over this smoking summer. Leave this fucking shithole forever. I don't care how much you buy or how much you do, just get me to clean blue caribou. You're gonna die, foaming at the mouth, gurgling like a clogged drain, hair and phlegm, soap residue with someone's wedding ring stuck in your pipe. 911 will do their best to save you, but their best is a dropout student from an unaccredited online college. They will suck out the venom, hit you 3 times with the Narcan, then cram you into a cell. In the morning, you're going home, sending everyone in the state of Rhode Island an invoice. The real problem is you introduced me to another debt collector. Someone else has my cell. Influencer dollars are just as good as the next account with no followers. I live as nothing more than an algorithm. Don't try to hug me. It will only make me money having them see you dead, laying there like a fat fuck, clawing at your neck, rolling like swine in the mud, with your heart trying to pump. You're on your own, like Ma and Pa told ya, way back when. No one wants to stay to witness you flounder, because the cops do come. No one will give 2 fucks. Your 2 brothers, they have parts to buy for their trucks. What a stupid home, occupied by stupid people. You want to gamble with your life all the time. I don't care. I have to eat too. I have to eat, lady. I have to eat, kid. He-Man, Hulk, Green. I don't care and I don't ask. Sick liberals hand out needles. Just gives you a different place to do it. Another plane, some alley in Berkeley or San Juan. Another plantation to perpetually work on. What a stupid job done by stupid people. I kill like a soldier, following dumb orders. That's what they said in the town of Dachau. Gotta get back to the state of Rhode Island to hook up the water, turn on the electric, so I can survive the northern gentleman's winter. I can't go back to that McDonald's assembly line. I'll never think about you or the cartel's fentanyl or the sanitary napkins full of blood flowing out from the gutter of this life. It's not my place to question reproduction. It's a boring story, a Manhattan serenade. Nothing you'd understand, nothing exciting compared to the solutions fentanyl came up with. Throw the ladies lollipops, inject this guy with a needle to the arm, give this kid a pipe to smoke from. Tin foil is free today. Politicians know the deal. Parents don't know what it's used for. Wrapping the leftovers of their children's corpse at the fentanyl restaurant. Close the curtains to protect the rodents. Scrape the street out from under their toenails. Cut their hair and self-shave your asshole with a handheld mirror strapped to your forearm by a brown belt. Bleeding hearts give out weed to convince my customers to convert to Islam. Provide the Bible, the big book, make them feel cute for a few weeks. You'd save more lives filming chemistry videos on YouTube. A woman sells power tools stolen from work trucks in the parking lot of Home Depot in Nazareth. Executives give her $10 for a dirty blowjob. She buys her kid Monster drinks. This guy from Mexico, he eats bagels from the dumpster at Dunkin' Donuts, morning, noon, and night. These kids eat ice cream that the Johns bought them. No one can sit down after what they did to their assholes in that hotel all night. Who signed us up to tolerate this world? They stand like logs for me to fire up the chainsaw. All this time for such a small package. My Christmas tree waiting to be cut down, killed, and brought into the innocent house, then decorated, toasting with crystal, accepting a wool sweater. All the time, this bastard cop shines his light. Mother won't kiss his cheek. Some thug wants to rob me, but I run away. Good, like only Marlon Brando could. Preserving whatever role I'm playing in this fucked up film. Zombies can't talk, and I have nothing but worthless love. Shove them back in the mud. I take their cell phones as payment. Scored $20. Look at me. I sold a mother to a brother. I ate a slice of sausage and peps. Sold hot shit to that kid I knew was informant. Those pretty fire trucks showed up with all those lights. A neighborhood show. Got my money back all the same. Won't see him again. Kid took a week off my vacation. Nancy cares for nothing. Nancy has no brain. She married too young, drunk and fearless, stumbling in high heels, always willing to bend over the roulette wheels. Watch it work for her, and you can only hope it can work for you. Let's find out. Fill out a ballot like a complete fucking idiot. Politicians, freaks, and addicts walk into kitchens, stealing the spatulas and the whisks to pay for more fentanyl out in the city, flipping eggs, nothing left but the beans. You want a bagel? I sell bagels with lox. Whatever you want. It's the morning after all, and I'm still out here working, Nancy. My grandmother knew violence. My grandmother knew peace. My grandmother thinks about what you want to eat. That's it.
Jeff, holy shit, Jeff. So basically, Allen Ginsberg can get fucked because this is like the Howl of the opioid epidemic. This is so fucking good. This is like tremendously fucking good. And sometimes you hear a poem and sometimes I can't help myself. I'm like, oh, that's set in Malone. Like I'm from here. Like sometimes you work like this, it like so perfectly communicates like the world I grew up in, right? The world that I guess I occupy now, like the perfect way that you get at like the desperation and despair of like, I guess it's not even necessarily rural America, right? But it is rural America is the closest thing I can find. The kind of like the like desperation of the working poor or not unworking poor in this moment, right? And how like just the vividness and richness of all these characters and how all these characters come together on a single emotional note, right? That note that's defined by addiction and by despair and by like the spiraling hopelessness that comes with it. This is just so rich, Jeff, and it's a really wonderful fucking poem.
Oh, thank you, man. I hope it wasn't too much of a downer.
For Misery Loves Company? Nah.
I had to
Yeah.
get another drink in the middle of it to level myself out. But yeah, no, it's the best thing I've ever heard you read or hear from you, man. I think I said in the comments. Is that part of like a larger work, or was it just a standalone?
I think I wrote this a couple of days ago. I'm still kind of editing it down. It might need to be shorter, but someday it'll go somewhere. But thank you.
That was fucking amazing. I just wanted to say that the grizzled voice you delivered it in and the performance of it just really made it hit even harder. It's like this kind of like grim dark version of fucking James Brown's King Heroin mixed with like some kind of like weird like fucking like rural poverty ethnography shit. It's just really, it's amazing, Jeff. That was fucking amazing.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, Jeff, that was awesome. Thank you. I didn't see anyone in the chat say that they wanted to read. Rudy, did you catch anyone who wanted to? Oh wait, Keith just sent me a direct message.
Okay.
Did you see anyone else, Rudy?
Nope, I didn't catch anybody else. That's what they want to read, but if anybody does, now's the time.
Okay, cool. Keith can read if he would like to, and if anyone else has something they'd like to read, just put it in the chat. If not, we'll wrap up after Keith.
Thanks, William. This is a little different type of story I wrote a couple of weeks ago, and I'm not sure if it works or not, but I'd like to read it and try it out. It's called 5 Guys Burning Memories. Prologue. It happened at the point in life when you're not young, not old. The point in life that you start realizing your mortality. When living in denial ultimately becomes living in reality. That was how it was when it happened. The good times moving into the shade. The sun shining a little less brightly. Our friend was on the list. All of us were. Everything was written with a pencil because ink was too permanent. And no one wanted to accept permanence. It's a long story and was kind of weird at the time, but not really. It's kind of sad now that we're making our own list. That night, though, when we were all high and everyone was satisfied and everyone was having fun, there was only one thing that we didn't believe. And in hindsight, it was a good thing that we didn't believe. Hey, get me a piece of paper and a pencil. Let's have some fun. We're going to make a list. Big John blared out into the late night sky, his words muffled through the heat and flames of the roaring fire. The 5 hardlegs sat on logs in a circle, a tight circle around the campfire, but with space to squeeze 5 more bodies between each hardleg. Things weren't heading fast enough in the usual direction. The girls were in the tent, resting from the earlier festivities of the night. Everyone hoped that this wasn't going to be a repeat of what they did in their teens before the girls would show up. They'd already had a couple of rounds earlier in the night, and they were all hoping for more with the girls, not themselves. They knew that the girls wanted more. They had said so. What exactly are we going to do, Big John? Watch you make a list of all the girls you've been with so you can tell us all the stories again? We've seen you in action. We've been there. We know all the stories. And besides, they may be able to hear you. Them tent walls ain't very thick. Hey, watch it there, Jim Bob, Big John fired back. Just cause you drew the short straw. He paused, not wanting to say what everyone knew. Just cause you drew the short straw earlier, don't mean it won't be your time later. Big John was happy he didn't say what he intended to. Jim Bob was everybody's friend, especially the girls, and that was important for the group. There was no need to be mean to his friend. Hank quickly jumped up from his log and said, I've got my messenger bag in the truck. I'll get you a pencil and some paper, Big John. Hank was hoping to get on Big John's good side. Maybe it'd pay off later. Everyone watched as Hank stumbled, then ran zigzags to his 150. Everyone was thinking the same thing. He's always really good, but how the hell does Hank even perform when he's this high? And before everyone knew it, Hank was back and kneeling before Big John with pencil and paper, offering it up to him like his hands at communion. Thanks, man, Big John announced, making sure everyone heard him. Hank's eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. It made Big John happy. So let's get down to business, Big John declared. Here's what we're going to do. Tom and Phil looked over at Hank and Jim Bob. They could sense that this list was going to be the beginning of something really good. This was going to be another part of the night to remember. In the background, inside the big two-room canvas tent with the room divider opened, the five guys could all hear soft, muffled voices. Everyone was sort of trying to listen to the tent with one ear and Big John with the other. Occasionally, they could make out words they wanted to hear. Words like hot, wow, fun, big, good. The words they couldn't hear or maybe remember were words like sweet, clueless, funny, small, quick. But words didn't really matter to the five guys. They couldn't really make out who or what the five girls were talking about. Action was what was always important and what counted. It's what their girls wanted, and the five guys knew that. Speaking for what the group was thinking, mainly because he couldn't take the suspense any longer, Phil sucked up to Big John and said, Please, Big John, let's do this. Hurry. In unison, the three guys that were left out looked at each other and rolled their eyes. They were all thinking the same thing. Phil's trying to get some perks. Big John sat up straight on his log, like he was still in junior high school and the teacher told him to quit slumping in his desk. Following Big John's lead, everyone else straightened up, coming to attention on their logs. They could feel the excitement building. The night's festivities were fixing to liven up. It even seemed like the voices inside the tent were getting excited. Big John began his speech. So, here's what we're going to do, boys. We're all going to make one contribution to the record that we are going to create on this piece of paper. We're going to use this pencil because nothing's really permanent when we're young. Some things might change. We're going to go around the circle and make the list, starting with Hank. I'll go last. Phil abruptly interrupted Big John before his next remark. It was expected of Phil. Can we please pass the bong around again, Big John, and invite the girls to join us? Big John gave Phil a stern look. Yes and no. There'll be time for the girls in just a few minutes. Let them have some more time to rest and recover. Thank you, Big John, Phil retorted. Phil picked up the bong between him and Tom. He began the ritual. 10 bloodshot eyes looked on in anticipation. Big John continued to set the stage. Okay, boys, now don't interrupt me. It's important for us to all come together. We've got to be joined to do this. Don't get distracted. Just take your turn with the bong and keep things moving. We can't drag this out. We've got business waiting for us in that tent. So what we're going to do is make a list on the top of this piece of paper with this pencil. We're each going to contribute a name and a cause to the list. Order doesn't matter. Keep it simple. The only rule, it must be someone within this circle, and you can't write down your own name. When we finish, we will all copy the list for our own record. One day, one of us might be the winner. Now we're going to pass the pencil and paper around the circle, and one at a time, write a name and a cause. We'll begin with Hank, then Jim Bob, Phil, and Tom. I'll be last. Oh, and be sure to keep that bong going too. Don't let it stop. Knowing that Big John had left out some important details, Hank had to bail him out. Maybe he was too high for this game. Hank meekly asked, Big John, what exactly are we contributing with a name and a cause? Big John said quietly, I'll answer that in a game of telephone. We don't want the girls to hear us. We don't want to throw water on their fires. So y'all listen very closely and don't make a mistake. This is too important. I'll begin by whispering to Hank a very short explanation of what exactly the cause means. Then Hank will begin sending it around the circle, and it will end with me. I promise to keep it simple. However, guys, if it ends up different from what I told Hank, then I'm going to be in a fivesome in a few minutes, and y'all are going to be jerking off into the campfire. That got everyone's attention. They knew that Big John meant what he said, and the girls would probably like that. The last thing the guys wanted to do at this point in the night was to play with themselves. They could do that much later. Many of the girls still needed an encore. Big John turned and whispered in Hank's ear. Everyone watched in anticipation and extreme anxiety as the whisper went around the circle. It even crisscrossed the bone. When it got to Tom, the last messenger, he whispered Big John's words in Big John's ear. A big smile came across Big John's face. Everyone could feel a stirring as they sat on their logs and looked at Big John for approval. An A+, boys. Y'all pulled it off. Now let's do this. Just remember, you can't do yourself, and everyone has to be done, but only once in this game. Then Big John handed the paper and pencil to Hank. Everyone watched as it made its way around the circle, each one following the instructions exactly. A name, not their own, and a cause. When it ended back at Big John, he finished the record, checked it, and it was perfect. Then he told everyone that he was going to pass it around again. But this time, each person was to copy the record across the bottom of the sheet, tear it off, and keep it. It was their record forever. They followed Big John's instructions to a T. Everyone was ready to get into the next act. The game was over. In solidarity, they displayed their secret signal to each other. Then they all folded their papers and put their copy in their pockets. The bong had made it around twice, ending at Phil, right where it started. Suddenly, in unison, everyone came to attention. They all heard the sound that pierced the night. It started at the ground and moved over and up and back over, and then stopped. The sound corresponded perfectly to the D shape of the zipper of the tent door. The five guys all turned their heads in unison towards the tent. They could see the five girls slowly coming out and heading towards Nirvana. Joined together in collective amnesia, the five guys, including Big John, immediately forgot about the name and calls game. The next time any of them would think about it would be when they got home and were cleaning out their pockets. Then they'd all hide their paper in their secret shoebox hidden in their closet, the shoebox that they were always too scared to open. They all knew about each other's shoeboxes and most of what was in each other's. The five guys watched as the five girls slowly approached the flaming circle of love and lust. Speaking for her group, the seductive voice of their leader asked, "What are you guys up to?" Big John confidently answered the question, 9 inches. He knew the answer to that question. This wasn't his first rodeo, and he knew exactly what they wanted to see and hear again. The five guys could hear the five girls gasping, just like earlier in the evening when the marathon started. It wasn't hard to tell, but one thing was for certain. Everyone was now on the same page. Time to get this party started. Time to throw some logs in the fire and let them burn into embers and ashes. Epilogue. It was a cool, crisp autumn afternoon when we met together at the old campsite. Our wives had insisted. It had been a long, long time. The clear sky was a deep blue, the kind of blue one only sees in the fall of the year. The leaves were just beginning to drop from the trees, falling aimlessly onto the earth. It was a beautiful afternoon. The kind of afternoon that at one time would have led into a perfect night for camping and campfires and good times. The times when we came together and made lifelong memories and connections. The times that no one ever wanted to end. As we all stood in a broken circle around our imaginary campfire, we felt the warmth of each other. Beneath the blue skies, we looked at our pieces of paper. We remembered. We had never forgotten. Tears began to well up, then smiles, then laughs. Together, we agreed to tear our pieces of paper into shreds. Penciled writings were never going to make a difference. It would be the memories that would keep us all going, the memories of joy and happiness and love, the memories that would hold us all together, the four of us, forever.
That was great, Keith. What I really love about this piece is like the kind of tonal sandwich that you've constructed here, where you open with a sense of like real gravity, and you end with this really like bittersweet moment between, you know, older people, and in this like moment of like bittersweet, like coming back together and then separation. And in between is just this wonderfully like really funny story. And I love the way that you've taken like a really funny story and like sandwiched it between this sadness, right? And it so perfectly captures like the sensation of aging and of things that seem like important in a moment, but important in a kind of frivolous way in a moment, how they take on this kind of like different, bittersweet, kind of sad dimension, like as you look back on them. But I want to focus on the main story though, because it is really you do something really great here that a lot of like really great like humorists do, which is you take a situation that's kind of fundamentally silly, right? And you fill it with this sense of real like importance and gravity, and the dissonance between like the frivolous thing that's happening and the gravity of the narration makes it all the more funny, right? It makes it all the more effective. But yeah, as usual, Keith, this was just like a really like pleasant, engrossing piece of writing.
Thanks, William. I appreciate the chance to read it, and thanks for your remarks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we're going. Also, I like the fact that we had Big Jim earlier, and now we have Big John. You could, I see. This is how you know that Misery Loves Company is not this narrow, like cosmopolitan urban institution, right? We really ran the gamut of like I don't know, like rural life, or like I don't know, like provincial life tonight, right? Like it's like I don't think a single piece was read tonight that was set in a fucking city, which is fantastic. That's like one of the things I really love about having like a literary movement that's centered online instead of some like metropolis somewhere, is that you get writing that actually feels like that has a real regional character to it, right? Which is that feels like maybe it was written here in Malone, New York, or yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling. That was a great piece, Keith, and I think we're gonna call it there. Rudy, nobody said that they wanted to read a piece in the chat, did they?
No.
No. Okay. I think we're gonna call it there. As usual, I will leave the Zoom meeting open for a while so people can hang out. But this has been Misery Loves Company. We do this every fucking week on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. Anyone is welcome to come and join us as long as they don't fucking troll. And anyone's welcome to come and share their work or just hang out or whatever. We tweet out the link right before we begin from our Twitter account at Misery Tourism. And yeah, thanks again to everyone who read tonight. Just lots of great pieces. It was a fun one. All right, I think that's it. Thanks, guys. We'll call it there.